Hi, this is Dr. Neff. Today I'd like to present to you several maxims. A maxim is a fundamental rule that you can follow in order to get to a particular destination. In this particular case, I'm going to talk to you about maxims of mental training. The first maxim is perhaps best illustrated through a story, and this story was first presented on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and it was about a man who had been trying to lose weight for most of his life but was unsuccessful. Later on, his daughter became ill and needed a kidney transplant, and it turned out that the father was a good match, except for the fact that he was still obese and he needed to drop 100 pounds in 9 months. What he was unable to do for most of his life, he was suddenly able to do actually with 2 months to spare, because the reason was big enough. And so it is that we start with this first maxim, that when the reason is big enough, then the how becomes quite easy. The second maxim is, I think, a very important one, because if you don't really know where you're going, then the chances are you won't get there very, very quickly. And so this particular quote by a famous philosopher named Seneca is, I think, an excellent one. What we need to do is we need to carve out a very clear path to where we're going, and then the chances of us making fewer mistakes along the way, I think, are very good. What we find is that most athletes don't know what they want and don't really know how to get there. So I think that this clearly would be an excellent idea for anybody setting out on a journey, is to know where they want to go. Process goals are fully controllable actions that you take daily that tend to cause you to perform in a way that increases the chances of attaining big outcomes. The fourth maxim is tough for most of us, because what it says is that you need to believe it in order to see it. Most of us kind of think the opposite, that we will believe it when we see it. So what we're talking about here is believing something before you've seen it, and we find that that's really the way that it works the best. 14 Olympic runners had to watch Roger Bannister break the 4-minute mile first, something that was thought to be impossible for over 2,000 years. And they had to see it first in order for them to believe that it was possible for them to do as well, which all of them eventually did do over the next year. So it is with this particular maxim that we say, believe it first, and then you'll see it in your life second. The fifth maxim is something that we value very much, and through visual imagery or visualization, every time you clearly imagine the action you intend to take, you increase the chances your body will successfully do it. The sixth maxim is one of the fundamental parts of what we teach. And the reason is that without awareness, you're really able to do very little when it comes to changing your thoughts and emotions. The only way you can change something for the better is to first become aware of the problem, and then, of course, become aware of what the solution is. Most athletes allow harmful thoughts and images to stay in their mind because they don't recognize them in the moment, and they don't really know how to change them. So certainly one of the key parts to enhancing performance is to be able to recognize what the problem is itself, and then recognize what the solution is in order to correct it. We all have harmful thoughts and images that come into our mind at times. The key is to recognize the thought, know it's not helping, replace with a thought that you've prepared prior, and then rehearse that process until it's a habit. Every athlete has an ideal emotional state that produces their best performance. The most reliable and effective way to create that emotional state is by learning to control thoughts. This maxim is a little bit longer, and it has to do with the fact that we know that the zone is just not a random thing. It might appear that way to many athletes, but it really does happen for very specific reasons. We've identified the most common factors that lead to zone performances, and as a result, athletes can be taught to apply mental skills that increase the chances of their zone occurring. The 10th maxim really has to do with how the zone feels. If you've experienced the zone once, you'll want to experience it as often as possible. We've made that the central mission of our company, actually, to enable our athletes to understand exactly what they have to do to find their zone.